Hi there, guys and girls. I wanted to do a video about some of the DEI that's in Mortal Kombat 1. And this has been a hot potato because um, if you go back to basically the start of MK1, at the start, when Sweet Baby Inc. was blowing up everywhere, Sweet Baby, Sweet Baby, um, there was a site, a page on IMDb that listed Mortal Kombat 1 games that Sweet Baby Inc. had worked on, and Mortal Kombat 1 was on that list. So that's stuck to MK1. And then Caprutus is a guy who started a website, DEI Detected, and if you go to that website and search Mortal Kombat 1, it's not there. So it was great. I dropped into one of his streams and I actually asked him about it, and he answered me, which is great.
The other tech quest. The latest in Mortal Kombat game, I said just to be message and only have one game and be. People. I mean, Mortal Kombat 1 has not been confirmed as a Sweet Baby Inc. game. I have said this many times, but IMDb website is not a reliable source. No, so unless we see some other evidence of Mortal Kombat 1 being tied to Sweet Baby Inc., I will not claim it as a Sweet Baby game. No, unless it shows up in the Sweet Baby Inc. official website, or we find some other evidence. Oh, the IMDb website is not reliable. No, it's not a reliable source. Because it's like Wikipedia, anyone can go there and edit, can alter what's written there. So yeah, that's why.
And as you can hear from what he said there, he can't confirm that Mortal Kombat 1 was worked on by Sweet Baby Inc. The website does list Warner Brothers on DEI Detected, and that's because of Suicide Squad. The game Suicide Squad was made by Warner, and Sweet Baby was involved with Suicide Squad. But there is no way, there's nothing to indicate on MK1 any sort of DEI diversity studio as having direct influence. Now, I do believe that either a studio or an internal thing went around, and clearly from when you look at the game, the contents of the game, it's been affected by diversity. And to be clear, I'm not against diversity. I'm against forced diversity. And this is a problem I've got when I go on rants. I say diversity, diversity, and sometimes that context is lost. I mean forced diversity. That's when we had a white character, but then the suits came down and went, make it a black character, because we'll be paid if you do that. And it's diverse. And then their diversity score goes up on Glassdoor and things like that. Oh, look, we're a great studio. We're so diverse. Do you know what I mean? They forced the character to be something they weren't originally planned to be. That's what I got a problem with. So forcing characters, forcing change when they weren't planned that way, or the concept art was different. In the concept art they were sexy and then they were made flat, or their hips were reduced, or they were changed from a male to a female, or changed race or gender, or what. And when it's forced, it's shit. Look at Concord. Look at that shit. Those characters were so fucking ugly, and there was a video going around. Osmongold reacted to it, but it was from another YouTuber. He is a reactor. Forget the original YouTuber's name, but he was saying he is brown and he hates this stuff, and he was pointing out all the things like on this character. Look how cringy it is. They've got like an African American character wearing basketball shoes and they're running around in some sort of space war game. It makes no sense. And this guy like redesigned the characters and made them look super hot and sexy, and he actually put like armor on them like properly, and it didn't look like a joke. Whereas when you look at Concord, you know, they released a game with like pronouns like right there in your face, and I honestly think, as much as I'm fine with diversity, I think there's a line, and when you cross it, you just piss people off with your pronoun shit. Like, no one cares what your pronouns are, and no one gives a fuck, you know, if you're gay or what color you are. No one gives a shit. This was never a problem in video games. They made it a problem to make a solution. And this is something that Osmongold says a lot too on his streams. And I totally fucking agree. They made it a problem. If you think about Mortal Kombat, we always had like, we had Jax, we had Sonya, that's a woman. You know, Jax was black. You know, we had Liu Kang, Asian. We had characters from all different walks, all represented. Do you know what I mean? And it was never like, you know, oh, there's not enough of this person or that person, or it was never a problem. They made it a problem, and now they force a solution. Now, where I'm going with this video is, like I said, I've been trying to find some sort of clue. The Mortal Kombat 1 credits are super long. I have gone over them a few times trying to, like, sniff out some sort of diversity studio, but I think they were removed, or it was in-house and they didn't need to put them on the list. It's like a blanket sort of thing, like they do, you know, diversity for Warner, and they don't have to be directly credited, maybe. I don't know, right? But something I did find, and so just to be clear here, I'm going to be talking about Lion Bridge Games. Now, Lion Bridge worked on part of Mortal Kombat 1. Part of it. Because when you look at the credits for Mortal Kombat 1, you've got all sorts of teams that they do their thing, right? So Lion Bridge Games looks like they have some sort of involvement with audio, maybe French audio. Actually, I'm just going to chuck them up. I've got screenshots here of the credits. So here we go. This is the credit. Sorry, it's in two pieces. But yeah, that piece on the right should be under the first piece. But yeah, so you got Lion Bridge Games, you got French localization. I'm not even going to try and read out some of these names. Some of them are crazy. Adaptation team, translators, audio project manager, audio lead, audio project assistant, voice direction, audio engineer, and post-production. As you can see, most of what you're hearing in there is audio. So they had some, maybe it was just French localization, I'm not sure. So I looked into this company because it was mentioned by another YouTuber, actually. Oh, Lion Bridge, you know, DEI. And I'm like, oh, hello. You know, and I went down the rabbit hole. And so I checked out their website. And these guys pride themselves on diversity. They have a 3.9 score on Glassdoor, the same as NetherRealm. If you go to their website, you're going to see so many mentions of diversity. Like I said, it's not a bad thing. You can have your studio as diverse as you want. I don't care. But it affects the product, then I got a problem. But we go to the website, and it's... At first, it doesn't look like there's anything really there. I'm like, oh, okay, it's just... It says localizations or something. But as you start clicking on links and going deeper and looking at this page and then that page and then looking at this PDF where they've written a whole thing about the video games industry, which I'll get to in a minute, then it's like, So, here's the thing. Even though they worked on one little part of Mortal Kombat 1, that part is now being affected by DEI. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, they push certain things into the game, something they put on their website. They want people, you know, if they do a game with an African character, they want them to sound really African, right? And the thing is, I got nothing wrong with using those actors, but what they do these days, and I will show you this in a minute too, is it's not that they just get an African guy to play an African character. They find someone who's like super stereotype, right? He sounds really, really African, right? They really push it home, or same with Asian or whatever. They really hit the stereotype. And there's several people, and I'm going to show these screenshots in a sec, And there's a lot of people who are from these minorities that are sick of it. They're sick of being the stereotype character in video games. So how the fuck is this diverse for these minorities when you've got the minorities saying, knock it off? They're made to be the stereotypical black guy or Asian. There was a great video I watched. Oh, fuck, it made me laugh. It was another Osmond guy. That guy's great. I love that guy, man. He's tops. Great opinions. He reacted to a video, and it was all these, white college kids at some university or something, I think, and they were all like, we got to help the black people because they don't know how to use the internet, and they don't know where the DMV is, and they don't know this. And I'm just like watching, going, what the fuck are they talking about? Do you know what I mean? And then in the same video, that interviewer then asks a few black folks, do you know how to use the internet? And they're like, yeah. My 12-year-old knows how to use the internet. You know what I mean? And then he asked one guy, do you know where the DMV is? And he's like, yeah, it's on 25th Street. Like straight away, I'm like, and I'm just sitting here laughing my ass off going, oh my God, like, clearly what these people on these campuses say, they're the racists. Because they're the ones who say all this shit about minorities. They don't even know them. They're in their own little fucking world. Mate, I didn't even know where the DMV is. By the way, we don't call it DMV in Australia. It's called Vic Roads, where I am. I know where it is. I don't know the name of the road that it's on. I know I can drive there right now. I know where to go. He knew what road it was on. He knew more than me. He knew exactly what road it was on. 25th Street. You know what I mean? And just painting these stereotypes. This is what's ruining the video game industry.
This is crazy. I only watched half of it, and I was like, I should probably watch the other half on stream.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places.
No. Get ready.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how... Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed.
Like, it's got to be fake, right? I mean, there's no way it's not fake. You guys, nobody thinks it's fake.
I heard a lot also that black people can't figure out how to get to the
Oh my God!
DMV. What does that say to you?
I know it's that, on 25th Street.
Do you know where?
It's over there. Yeah, what do you mean?
And I also heard a lot that black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
It's just what?
That's just stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet. Even a little kid can figure out how to work the internet.
I want to show you guys some things. Let's start with this one. Okay. So this is from their website, Lionbridge. And this is the sort of stuff that I see in their documentations. This is in a PDF about how they work. And I don't agree with any of this bullshit. I actually think this is inflated, or they use a certain source to push these numbers as accurate. But basically we've got from the top, only 38% of gamers report believing major video game companies think about people like them when designing games. Who thinks this bullshit? Only 38% of all gamers report believing major video game companies think about people like them. And what do they mean by people like them? 38% of gamers. It just says gamers. Anyway, that's weird. Next one. 1 in 5 active gamers identifies as LGBTQ. Right. And they've got the source there, GLAD, whatever the fuck that is. There's no link to it. I don't know. I didn't look for GLAD. I wasn't going to go that deep. Do you know what I mean? But I call some of these into question. Maybe the 1 in 5 thing's true, because that covers lesbians, gays, bisexual, trans, etc., right? Next one. More than 2 in 3 Black, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific American play video. Duh. Like, why does that need to be there? Oh, you have to remind me that black guys and Hispanic guys and Asians and Pacific Americans play video. This is just stupid. Like, I already knew that. I already fucking knew that, man. Like, why are you pointing that out? Like, oh, that's a thing. Like, we know. They point it out so they can fix it. This is what Osman was saying. They make the problem so they can solve it. Right? So, the problem in this case is we need to represent these folks. Black guys and Hispanics and Asians are playing video games. Next, we got 53% of all gamers feel that developers have a responsibility to make gaming and gaming spaces more inclusive. Bullshit. I do not believe that for a fucking second. That 53% of gamers feel like the people who make the game are responsible for making a fucking... to make gaming spaces more inclusive. Bullshit. Half of all gamers identify as female? Maybe. It's got to be close to half. I honestly think there's more male gamers than female. I don't care if you think that's sexist or whatever. I think the video games industry is dominated by more men. And there are definitely tons of girl gamers, don't get me wrong, Candy Crush and shit on their phone, that all counts. The Sims, Animal Crossing games that girls really like, for sure. It's got to be definitely close to 50%, but I don't believe it is 50. I believe it's under. I believe there are more male gamers than female. That's just my opinion. I haven't checked on that source. I'm just going to leave it there, right? Next one, we got 44% of gamers report having experienced or witnessed racism or hate speech on gaming platforms. Duh. That's what we call the internet, right? People will always use slurs as a joke, or, you know, especially I'm Australian. Australian gaming servers are pretty wild. People throw around a lot of bullshit, you know. There's no hatred behind it. They'll throw a slur out, and it's not weaponized. And this is something I was saying to Retro the other day. Real racism is when the slur's weaponized to attack someone, like you're a blah blah blah, you know, or whatever. Whereas someone just throwing a word out there with zero context, it's like they're being edgy, but they're not really attacking anybody. And some people think both instances are not on. Fair enough, but like, you know, in Australia we got a bit thicker skin. You know, one thing that always bothers me with slurs is that the N-word slur is like the god of all slurs. Like, I don't understand why that one. Like, look, every slur has history. Every single one. The N-word, slurs about Asians, you know, especially from the wartime. I can't say them because of YouTube. YouTube's been fucking weird lately. I can't even say the C word anymore. Like, I used to... Because I say that by accident when I do say it. Because I'm Aussie, we say the C word, like, all the time. It's part of our culture. I actually feel like it's a cultural attack on us that we can't say that. I actually do. You know? But... yeah, so I can't say anything here. I can't be specific because YouTube is going to fucking hit me. But, yeah, slurs against Asians and slurs against, like, even Aussies or, you know, Italians. You know, every slur has a history, right? And I honestly don't think one is worse than another. I think they're all literally on the same shelf where they're all as bad as each other. Do you know what I mean? That's just personally what I think. I don't think it's fair to have like one that is, oh, that's the worst thing ever. And I feel like YouTube and other places do that, like with the N word. Oh, you said the N word. Like, it's like the god of, like I said, the god of all slurs. You can't say that. You can't say that. I'm like, but you can say other shit and nothing happens. Like it's like, it seems just weird. But that's just what it's like to play online. That's what it's like. People will throw shit around, and sometimes I'm in these servers, you know, I'm playing. I say, if you don't like it, just leave or use the block button. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, Aussies are kind of wild, you know. Not all of us are like this, but you know, it's just the way it is. But the thing is, you see stuff like this on this website, and what am I supposed to think? That they, even though, and to be clear, there is a footer on their website that says they are an equal opportunity, employer. So, I think I've got that here. Where is it? Fair. That's it. So they do have this on their website, on the footer. Once you get past all the other diversity everywhere. Diversity. Say, the first line is Lionbridge is an equal opportunity employer. Well, that's good, you know. So it doesn't just employ minorities and stuff. But when you're going through the website, it constantly mentions LGBTQ, constantly mentions minorities and you know, being fair and blah, blah, blah. And you look through the photos and you got a whole bunch of employees that tick all those boxes and stuff. It's like the best example I can be is like when you want a job somewhere, right? Like the local shop. And they'll say, yeah, we hire anybody. We advertise. We do everything the legal way, right? Because in Australia, you have to advertise any job. But then you find out, you see a new employee there, and you pull them aside and you say, oh, you're new, yeah? And they go, yeah. How'd you get the job? Oh, my friend said there was an opening here, so I just, they just got me a job. I just applied. That's illegal. But they do it. And they do it every day, and they get away with it. And that's why they advertise the job. To cover themselves. It's not because they want people. They just do that to cover themselves, and then they hire some local person. Do you know what I mean? So, part of me always thinks on these sites, have they just put that there to cover themselves, and then they only hire, you know, diversity people, right? And I mentioned this in another video once. Someone I know went for this job, and he got it, and they were all really great, you know, they really liked him, you know. And then in the very end, they said to him, we can't give you the job because we actually need to hire a woman. So even though he went through the whole process, they loved him and knew his shit. It came down to the fact that he wasn't a woman because they wanted to hire a woman for diversity. Do you know what I mean? And this is what's going on. And this is where it's not just a video game anymore. Diversity is actually affecting things. There was also someone did an undercover report of someone who worked at Disney, and this guy was secretly recorded saying, oh, we passed that guy over because he was white. We didn't promote him, and we hired a black guy instead, and we did this and that. And that. He's actively talking about discrimination within Disney against employees that were there just because of who they are. And this is why it's bullshit. And this is why I fucking hate DEI. It doesn't just affect the game. I think it affects the game in other ways, too. And it's another video I want to do. I want to talk about some of the story on the Mortal Kombat games. That's going to probably be my next video. But you see all this stuff, and here's the thing. It all comes down to this, right? Like I said, they made the problem, they make the solution. When we say, why do you do it? Why do you get this gorgeous model, right? This gorgeous African model. You're going to be Tanya. And then they put her in the game. They scan her face. Right? And in the concept, she looks real sexy. The concept art, I've noticed that on all the Mortal Kombat. You look at all the concept art. All curvy and busty and that. Then they get the model in. And they put them in the game. And then they get the artist to reduce all the beauty on the model in the game. Right? Talking like Tanya, right? Let's use Tanya for example. A lot of people say she's fine. No. Have you seen what the real woman looks like? She's fucking gorgeous. Right? And they do this for one reason. And this is what I want to show next. And I've shown this before. I've talked about this one. This one is from that same PDF on Lionbridge. And you could make the argument, well, that's just Lionbridge. No, this spans over the whole video games industry, and there's several videos you can watch. Sydney Watson did a great one about, changing looks in video games. There's other people who have done it and talked about this, and people in the industry, and I'm going to show those in a minute. But let me just read this for now, for those who don't know. Why do they do DEI? Right? Why? I always say because it's for money. They get paid because everything's for money. Right? That's part of it. And the excuse to get paid for it is this, right? They've come up with our game's diverse, right? And start from the second paragraph here, because this is the elephant in the room DEI, right? The second paragraph is, imagine booting up your favorite game after a long day at school or work. You've just started the newest arc in the main story where a new area has been unlocked. You're exploring the beautiful and foreign worlds, swept away by its rich covers, novel architecture, and an enchanting soundscape. And then a beloved side character, one you thought was your ally, makes a fat joke. What's even worse is the lack of repercussion or even acknowledgement of said remark. You're no longer immersed in the game, instead left to ponder why. In this unearthly setting, weight would even be a concern. In a world of wings, tails, and scales, why would the writers choose to have a character say that? It's a cliche example, no doubt, but one that many can relate to. Gamers can have sensitive content. Nobody's trying to censor anything here. Bullshit, says Shin. But you've got to ask yourself how every element of your game affects the player's experience. What does this line of dialogue mean in the context of the game? Does it contribute to the story in a meaningful way? Does it make sense for the character to be saying that? If you find something that calls out specific demographic in a tone-deaf, unnecessary way, it's a no-go. Now here's the thing. What they're basically saying is they change dialogue in the game or text or characters or looks to be more neutral. So if they've got a super hot African lady playing Tanya, they make her look uglier, bring the looks down, make her look more neutral, maybe look a bit more male, a bit more female, to represent everybody, because maybe a trans person's playing the game, right? Or maybe a gay guy's playing and they're feminine, right? Or femboy, right? Or, there's a woman playing, right? Who might not be as good looking as the model that they used for the game. So they bring the looks down to try and appease everybody. That's their excuse, right? This is why they do it. And someone like me, I don't give a shit, right? So when there's Liu Kang there, and he's super ripped, and he's like, I protect Earthrealm, and he's shooting fireballs out his hand and turning into dragons and doing the bicycle kick. Do you think I feel sad about that? I can't do that. Not fair. Like, it's not fair that he has a six-pack. I'll never have a six-pack. Come on. That's what they're saying. But notice, it only affects female characters or races of characters, or, do you know what I mean? Anything that they can say, that they can apply diversity to get paid. That's the problem with shit like this. And it's bullshit. Because like I just demonstrated, how come the game's not diverse against people like me who can't do the bicycle kick? Do you know what I mean? No one's crying about Liu Kang being too... They should make Liu Kang fat, because I'm fat. I got a beer gut. So they should give Liu Kang a beer gut, so I feel better represented. Fuck off. Come on. Really? This is where we're at? So, it's just... Now, the last... I said I want to show these. We have here... This was from... I think it was from Reddit. I don't know. Internet. But this talks about Del Walker, a principal artist lead at a major studio such as Naughty Dog, Rocksteady Games, and Respawn, talked about his frustration at trying to get his designs for beautiful black female characters approved by AAA studios. right? And that says there's been a handful of times I've pitched black women and characters that look like this. After 10 iterations of the concept and model comes back without a speck of the original beauty I pitched. So you can see that's his tweet. Actually, I'm going to read the tweet. So I'm not talking about mild changes. I'm talking about the pose, aura, style, softness, age, flair. I hate giving Gamergate men fuel. Yeah, that's a thing. But it's very difficult to pitch beautiful or vain black women in games without them coming back looking like grocery store aunties. There is room for both. And you can see here, he's got an example of the real life model versus what they did in game. It looks bullshit, dude. You know? And then that's what he said under. There's been a handful of times I've pitched black women characters that look like this. Then after 10 iterations, the concept model comes back without a speck of the original beauty that I pitched. So you can see, it's not just me going blah, 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 Cyrax, this and that. You know, this is a problem. I see it as a big problem. And here we have another one, to which that guy actually replied. So he says, dude, a friend of mine, an Asian woman, was just telling me about how this happens to her when she designs Asian women for Western games. They always have her redesigned by a Western artist. This is what we're talking about. The white people on the campus. To look more stereotypical, then pat themselves on the back for good representation. I did the right thing. Look at me. I'm a champion for minorities. Yes, they also assume adding stereotypical ethno features with blunt force is some sort of Hail Mary. With a range of diversity exists inside diversity. So as you can see, there's just 2 examples. And I could have dug up more, but the thing is, a lot of people don't want to talk like this in the industry because people go after them. You see Grums. I follow Grums on Twitter a lot. He talks a lot about diversity. He worked for Blizzard. I believe it was Blizzard Activision. And so he's from in the industry, and he's been exposing a lot of the bullshit that's in the industry. And they hate him for it. They're after him, you know, because everyone else, it's their dirty little secret. No, don't talk about that. You'll piss off the studio. Do you know what I mean? And they know if you piss off the studio, you'll never work at another studio because the other studio is just as woke as the first studio. They have DEI as well. And they're like, no, don't hire him. He's a World War II bad guy. Or he is a T supporter, a total MK supporter. Do you know what I mean? So this is a problem. Your democracy is under attack. You know, if you want to vote for Trump, you're painted as like an awful person. Sorry. And to be fair, I try and always be fair. As much as I am conservative, I see a lot of there's a lot of left-leaning people that work on Mortal Kombat, and I don't care as long as you don't let your shit seep into the game. And that's something that I want to do as part of that next video with the story on MK, because I believe that some of those guys have let their personal politics seep into the game, and that's why it's the way it is. But I could be wrong. But that's the next video. So look, I don't care. Everybody should be able to have their politics. I don't care who you vote for. Trump, Harris, whatever. I don't give a shit. That's if you're American. You should all be able to do what you want. But it should never affect your job. And you should never affect your work that way. And it's kind of... The thing is that people will always make the argument, but I'm the artist, and that's the way I personally feel, and I want to do the art, you know, because of this thing that happened in politics and blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. You're there to make a product, right? And it's something like, I'm sort of guilty myself because I tweet a lot of shit out about politics. And a lot of people don't sign up to Total MK's Twitter account for that. They want to hear me talk about Mortal Kombat. And I always try and at least make it balanced. As much Mortal Kombat as much bullshit politics. But I tweet out the politics stuff for a reason. Because I want you guys to see how diversity affects movies and games and the industry. And how it even affects elections all around the world. Like, there's a lot of things that go on and in the modern day. And I just think it's nonsense the way things run these days. And I feel like since the pandemic, everything's just been worse. I don't know. So, for example, there's, at the moment, where I am in Melbourne, Australia, there's some big military expo. What's it called? Land Force or something? And all of the protesters, the Free Palestine protesters, are like, we're going to stop it. And I'm like, so you can't even have a convention here because it's based on war and, you know, tanks and, I don't know, guns and shit, I guess. I don't know. I haven't been there. They actively want to interfere with it because of their own personal politics, you know? And I think that's bullshit. Because you could make the argument that a lot of those tanks are used again to help Palestine or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And they don't even think that way. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that, of course. I'm just saying that's just an example, right? And that's why I think it's stupid. Because they have no brain. They just want to cause a big interference. So much so that there's now like a steel fence all the way around the Melbourne Convention Centre. And there's cops everywhere. And they're ready to like arrest people on the spot for protesting this thing. Because there's all these protesters lately in Melbourne. You've got the Palestine ones. And then you've got these, like, they call it extreme rebellion or something. They, like, glue themselves to fucking trucks and shit to shut down fucking bridges and stuff. They're fucking so toxic. Do you know what I mean? People just fucking hate them. They're just hated. And it doesn't do anything for their stupid cause except get them on the fucking news. You know? And this is what's going on. You can't even have a convention now because it's interfered with by these crazy people. You know what I mean? And this is all part of the same bullshit sandwich. And that's, you know, that's it. And I just wanted to talk about it because even though Lionbridge, going back to them, I don't think they had a big say over Mortal Kombat. It's funny because you go through the website and certain ones talking about the whole project and we do this and can oversee diversity. But like, it's clear when you look at those MK1 credits, they only worked on like some of the audio, maybe only the French audio or something, part of the game. So they only worked on a slice of MK. But that means that slice is tainted with their DEI. You know what I mean? And I'm going to keep digging until I find out where the stupid diversity in MK1 came from. And if it comes back that no one worked on it, mate, I'll say it. But I know it won't. Because look at the game. We've got two gender-swapped characters, Cyrax and Sector, who are still called Cyrax and Sector, still the same colour, still have the same moves. We have a Johnny Cage character that swapped to Janet Cage, and that was confirmed in a press release that I have. It said it was going to be Johnny Cage, and then it became Janet Cage. We've got Bo Ray Cho, who's now Madam Bo, another man changed to a woman. There was a rumor that in the source code that Orin's going to be in Chaos Reigns. Orin's the dragon from MK Armageddon, and even though it's just a stupid dragon, there's a rumor they're going to make the dragon female as well. You know, it's just... When you see all these things in Mortal Kombat 1, and they're just going, but it's a new timeline. It's not an excuse. Well, it is an excuse. It's not a good reason, is what I should say, to swap all this shit. And there's got to be someone behind it. Because it never was this bad. It was in 11, and it was in 10. That's where the diversity started. It started at 10. And then it was in Injustice, and then it was in 11, and then in 1. You know, but it's out of control. So it's coming from somewhere. It's either coming from Warner, like I said, as a group, sort of a studio that just oversees everything Warner do or something, or it's coming from people in the game on the teams going, "Look, we just do it this way," and they don't care, and they're pushing their own diversity, personal, or is there a studio like Sweet Baby Inc. that's pushing them to change things in the game, or is it like independent parts of the game, like I'm talking about here, Lionbridge, where they are pushing for changes in the sections of the game that they do, like for example, I mean it's French audio, but I don't know, like when they did the voice acting for Cyrax, very, very thick African accent. Like, did they do that on purpose to tick that stereotype? Do you know what I mean? Did they find voice talent to satisfy that, to satisfy the stereotype? Do you know what I mean? And this is what the problem is. You know, I think it's a problem. You know, it's too much. They're way over the line. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I stand with this. I wanted to point it out because it's been really hard to nail down any sort of diversity in MK1. I feel like something was changed or something was removed or they kept it secret or hidden. But I won't know until I can confirm it. But I can confirm that Lionbridge, who again, oh whoops, I removed him. Let me add him back. Lionbridge, who did this in Mortal Kombat 1. Who did this and this? That's the Lionbridge credits, those two. They are extremely diverse. And, yeah. Like I said, not a bad thing, but is it affecting the product? Who knows? But this is some diversity connection I was able to find in Mortal Kombat 1, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And next time we'll be talking about that tweet. What happened?